What is up, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time Thursday edition. Kind of back into the mix after some mid-season tournament stuff going on in the NBA. We're back at it with two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got my guy Kyle in the house. What up, Kyle?
Yeah, not much. Like you mentioned, the in-season tournament has kind of been playing out. So it's been a very weird week, a very slow week in terms of the projections and stuff like that. And I'm sure we'll get back to the hecticness pretty soon here. But at least for the next couple of days, we have some low game slates.
Yeah, it's been kind of nice, honestly, to have. I don't want to call it a mid-season break, but in a way it was with just a few games. And I think next week we have a similar thing happening where you've got one or two games and it just kind of slows the whole season down. It's nice to have that. I know one person who does not want to slow anything down right now. Christy Metzger in that. She just says, keep this train going. Christy,
that's right.
Another tournament takedown, I don't know, yesterday, the day before. Another 10K in the bank for you. You are the hottest thing going in DFS right now by a mile.
Yeah, it's been a crazy stretch for sure and didn't expect it on a 2-game slate, but I kind of like some of these smaller game slates and a 3-game slate tonight. Kind of there's still ways to get different as we found out a couple days ago.
Yeah, and I talked to you about this pre-show, but I thought that the screen grab you showed was so funny of the leaderboard. Everybody was clustered at around 320 points, and then you had like 350 or 360. Like you absolutely smashed the field in a 2-game slate. So I'm excited to hear what your thought process is here to be able to get different, and clearly to be able to get different as efficiently as you did to win that tournament was pretty awesome. So glad to have you on for sure, especially on a slate like this. Let's dive into it. By the way, we have an NFL show coming on directly after this. Like no pause. We're bringing in Chop. We're bringing in Davis. They're going to talk about the Thursday night football slate in Santa Clara, San Francisco. So make sure you are sticking around. Make sure you're hitting us with that thumbs up as well. But we are here to talk some hoops, a little 3-game slate, and I'm just getting my lineups in. I'm just entering, and I haven't plugged in any players. So I'm excited to hear what y'all are doing, kind of build my lineups as we go. Christy, do you want to start us off with a maybe general outlook on this slate? If there's any super important news that broke or super important news that we are waiting to break, or just general analysis of the slate.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously earlier in the day, we got the information that Tatum is out, of course, for Boston. So that is a big difference maker. It's a lot of usage in that offense. And so Boston will be a game that we are looking to target. And we just got news just before things broke here that Jalen Duren is out for Detroit. So that changes things a little bit too. Isaiah Stewart is going to look pretty good as probably one of the best values on the slate. So I'm glad we got that news. I think he makes a top value play, but those are probably two of the key things. And I think there'll be plenty of value that we can take some chances on tonight, even on a 3-game slate that allow us to maybe get a little different as well.
Okay, very nice. Well, Kyle, I want to bring you in. You are, of course, a member of our wonderful projections team here at RotoGrinders. The news that we just got, elevating beef stew, have you guys kind of factored that in yet, or is that still happening?
It should be live in there now. It was actually the only piece of news that we were waiting on. So we have Isaiah Stewart at 31 minutes currently, so a nice little boost there for him in terms of minutes. And obviously, he's been a pretty good permanent producer, even with, guys around him being, pretty high usage players and whatnot over the last few years. So, he projects pretty well. And obviously, you have Paul Reed coming off the bench, who some people were talking about in Discord, mentioning maybe him as like a dart throw, 3K on DraftKings. And he's probably going to get the backup minutes behind Isaiah Stewart and play, the additional 15 to 16 minutes, I suppose, behind him. Stewart's going to look pretty good.
Okay, very good. Well, let's dive into it. We like to start on FanDuel, then we'll kick it to DK. Then we're going to open it up to all your questions as well. Kyle, why don't you lead us off with some FanDuel talk? We like to start at the old point guard spot.
Yeah, as Chrissy alluded to, with Jason Tatum out, it's obviously going to have these Boston guys look pretty good. It elevates Derek White into a pretty solid play. He's 7K on FanDuel. Peyton Pritchard and Drew Holiday. It's kind of strange, considering Peyton Pritchard and Drew Holiday are so close in price. But they're only Holiday's only $100 more than Pritchard on FanDuel. Pritchard's probably going to come off the bench again, but he's going to typically play anywhere from 28 to 31 minutes in these kinds of situations. So he's going to look pretty good as well. Good permanent producer. Holiday's going to be pretty low.
Man.
Yeah, he does.
I feel like anytime this spot happens and I don't play that dude, I regret it immediately.
Yep.
So
yeah, 100%. Even last time Tatum was out, he had a really slow start. And he ended up, getting there, or at least, pretty close to hitting value. So even if he, gets off to slow starts, he can definitely get it done in bunches. So all three of those Boston guys look pretty good. I would rank them White, Pritchard, Holiday. But Holiday is going to be the lower owned of that trio. So definitely, worth considering there on a small slate. We have Cade Cunningham projecting for, very little ownership right now, 5%. I do think it's probably going to come up a little bit, especially, with Jalen Duren out. I think maybe people will flock to him a little bit more, but especially if you're going to be rostering a lot of these Boston value guys or just Boston players in general, makes sense to maybe correlate that with Cade Cunningham. So I like him quite a bit. De'Aaron Fox is one of my favorite plays on the FanDuel slate tonight. Excellent spot here for him against the Pelicans. One thing worth noting is all these games have anywhere from a 7-point to an 11-point spread. So I'm not too worried about blowout because in this sort of range, all of them seem to have the same amount of risk. So I wouldn't worry about that too much tonight. But I do like Fox here against the Pelicans. Murray, Tyler Hero are also in play. But up at the top, Fox, Cade Cunningham, and Derek White really stand out for me.
Okay, very good. Christy, what are your thoughts here at point?
Yeah, I do like getting exposure, obviously, to the Boston guys. Like Kyle mentioned, Holiday's probably the one that's going to come in a little bit lower owned. So keep that in mind. But I do like Pritchard a lot, even though coming off the bench, he's just a solid fantasy point per minute producer. So he's somebody that I really like quite a bit. Derek White, I think, is a great core play. And I know Noto has him tagged as a core play. So I think he's somebody you want to get in your tournaments and cash if you're playing cash tonight. But like those guys a lot. Kyle mentioned Cade Cunningham, and I really like him. I know he's checking in at very low ownership, but that's the type of guy that you want to get in tournaments on a 3-game slate, because I like getting some exposure to Detroit, especially with all these Boston guys. And so he's expensive. There is some value, but I think there's a lot of value to getting a guy like Cunningham and spending up for him alongside the Boston guys. So I like that. I also like the De'Aaron Fox call. Kings have a really high total tonight, and he's checking in at fairly low ownership too. So I think that's a fantastic play. DeJounte Murray. The Pelicans are a little bit shorthanded. They also have a high team total. So I think he's a really good core play too, and somebody I like on the Pelican side. So those are probably the guys that I'm looking to target on. If you're looking to save money, I know like guys like Davion Mitchell, he's pretty affordable on FanDuel. Without Quickly and Barnes, he's someone that you could get in there for value, but I kind of prefer to get like Holiday and Pritchard and some of those guys in there instead and spend up a little bit more.
Okay. Take me to shooting guard, Christy.
Yeah. So for shooting guard, you can play Jaylen Brown here. I think he's another great core play. Noto has him. He's just so great. In the last outing against Detroit, he put up a ton of points. Again, with no Tatum. The usage is so great for him. He's averaged 45 fantasy points with Tatum out the last 2 seasons. So I like him a ton. Trey Murphy has been fantastic too. He gets a nice usage boost with no Ingram, and a pretty good matchup too against Sacramento. So those are 2 guys I really like. And then Herb Jones, I like him just because he's just 5,300. Again, Pelicans are shorthanded. I think he's a really good value play, especially on FanDuel. I think, he's a really good target kind of in that mid-tier range there. Jimmy Butler is another fine play too. He was popping in some of the optimals. I'm not sure if he still is. I haven't run it now since we upgraded things with the Stewart News, but he was popping, and he does seem a little bit too cheap for the role that he has at just 7,500. Again, another high team total. So I like him. And then I think a guy to get different, I think he's going to come in very low owned, is a guy like RJ Barrett. Again, there's no Quickly, there's no Barnes. He's priced up there, but he's got great usage in that in the team. So I think he's somebody that you can focus on for tournaments.
Very good. Kyle, any other names you want to add in there at shooting guard?
No, I like a lot of the names that Christy listed. One name that really stands out is I do like the Herb Jones call quite a bit. I think, on a slate like this where you can kind of have a little bit more of a free reign to get different just because it's a small slate. He opens up a lot of things at the top of salary, but he's also going to be, a guy who projects really well as well. We have him projected for, I think, 35 minutes tonight. So he's going to be on the floor a lot with the Pelicans being shorthanded. And on FanDuel, he benefits from the stocks, right? Steals and blocks where, 3 points over there on FanDuel. A couple other names, though, that I do like. I like Malik Monk quite a bit, especially if you're not playing De'Aaron Fox, like, for example, in a lineup maybe where you're playing Cade Cunningham or another spend-up point guard, and you're not able to get to De'Aaron Fox. Do you think looking at Malik Monk makes some sense? He's 7-1. He's still had some pretty good usage even when entering the starting lineup, and his minutes have obviously improved pretty significantly entering the starting lineup there. So Malik Monk's a name that I like quite a bit.
Okay. How about small forward, Kyle?
Yeah. A lot of the names do carry over. Jaylen Brown is also small forward eligible. Trey Murphy as well, Herb Jones. A couple other names that stick out, though. Keegan Murray is a little bit more expensive than Jones, but he's a similar type play. He doesn't benefit from the stocks as much, but he does have the ability to go out there and score 25 plus real points. He's had a little bit of a slump currently from a scoring perspective, but he still does have the minutes upside. We have him projected for 36 minutes, so he's going to be on the floor quite a bit. 5'9". Don't mind him there at that price tag. Tobias Harris is a guy that makes some sense here. Again, if you're not playing Cade Cunningham or if you're just looking for a bring back in this game, Tobias does make some sense there. Jimmy Butler and Trey Murphy are the guys that project to be the popular options right now. I think both those guys make a lot of sense. Jimmy Butler 7.5 is, I think that 7.5 price tag is still a bit too cheap for what we know that we're going to get from Jimmy Butler. It's pretty consistent, so I do like him quite a bit there as well. RJ Barrett is a guy who's up top in terms of the price tag. Obviously, the price has gone up, but with no Emmanuel Quickly and no Scotty Barnes, he does benefit from a pretty large usage rate, up over 32% in that situation. So RJ Barrett, obviously, the price is up, but the role is also greatly improved here. And I guess the last name that I'll throw out there would be DeMar DeRozan there at 7,600. I do like Butler and Jaylen Brown and RJ Barrett more, but DeRozan at least worth mentioning.
Okay, great. Christy, your thoughts on small forward, please.
Yep, I like the same guys. I was kind of getting onto the forwards when we were on the shooting guards a little bit. I was going to mention too Malik Monk, just at the guard position. I do agree with Kyle there. He's just had some really strong games, some big outings. He scored at least 40 fantasy points in 5 of his last 7 games. So I just wanted to touch on him too. But yeah, like a lot of those guys, Herb Jones, again, is going to be one of my favorites. You can play him at small forward or at power forward. Jaylen Brown, of course. A guy whose price has come down is Keegan Murray. His usage hasn't been quite as great since Malik Monk has been in the starting lineup, but his price has also come down too. So I think he is somebody that you can look to if you need a little bit of value there. And then, if you're really looking for value too, just to get a little bit different, you got a guy like Duncan Robinson, who's just 4.8K in that Miami office. If you need to save some money there, we've got him projected for 27 minutes, and we've seen him go for 30 fantasy points the last couple of times that he's been out there. So don't mind that for some value. And then I touched on RJ Barrett already, but I think he's a fantastic tournament play at very low ownership for Toronto tonight.
Very good. How about power forward, Christy?
Yeah, so for power forward, one of the guys that's going to really look the best there is Kristaps Porzingis at the top. He's just a great point per dollar option with no Tatum. Still a good price point. He's projected to be pretty highly owned, but I really like him on that Boston side. And then I think, at the top, we've got Isaiah Stewart now projected to carry some pretty good ownership. We've got him projected for 31 minutes. At just 4.4K, he's going to be one of the top value plays on the slate. So he's somebody that you're going to want to have in your lineup tonight. He makes a lot of other things work. So he's a great play. We talked about Herb Jones already. Jimmy Butler still feels a little too cheap, like I mentioned earlier, at 7.5K. I think he's great. Sabonis is a guy that his ownership is probably going to come down a little bit now, just because Porzingis and with Stewart being in there, it's going to lead you to some of the other plays. So I think Sabonis is a great tournament play too, and he's under 10K, and it's nice to get some of that Sacramento exposure too. So I think he's a fine play as well.
Very good. Kyle, your thoughts at power forward, please.
Yeah, one thing to note is we just got the starting lineup for the Raptors, and Jonathan Mogbo is starting here with Scotty Barnes out. So that's an interesting another piece of the slate, just opening up some value. He's in the same price range as Isaiah Stewart. Stewart is probably still going to project better from a minutes perspective, but Mogbo has been pretty good on a permanent basis so far this season, so he's definitely going to be, at least in play, if not projecting really well. We'll see how the final numbers shake out there, but definitely going to be a guy to note there, worth mentioning.
And Kyle, do you think there's some fragility to the minutes there, trying to project his minutes as a starter? Like, is this a situation where he could get 16 or he could get 32, or do you feel pretty comfortable about him, fitting in maybe, low 20s that we haven't projected?
Yeah, I think we'll probably see this number come up, I would guess, in between the 26 and 28 range when the team settles in. But I will say he's probably not a guy who's going to come out and play, 16 or so minutes. But definitely a guy who could potentially, get a start, but not necessarily play mid-20s to upper 20s minutes, maybe play, 20 to 21 minutes, even as a starter, because they do have guys behind him, guys like Kelly Olynyk, Jacoby Walter, who can, backfill some of these minutes and maybe, just outplay him here and earn some minutes later on in the game. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Mogbo doesn't close for this team. So there's definitely some fragility with the numbers there, but I don't think we see him, play 16 minutes like we've got bamboozled with some starters.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Other thoughts at power forward for me, Kyle?
I think that pretty much covers it. Christy nailed most of the names there. Porzingis is obviously going to project really well. You can play Barrett at power forward, Herb Jones at power forward, who I mentioned. I think in terms of guys who might be really contrarian, I forgot to mention a guy earlier at the small forward position, so I'll kind of cheat here a little bit. But Grady Dick, his shooting guard and small forward eligible, 5'2". He gets a big usage bump, up over 25% with no Scotty Barnes. He's back in the starting lineup as well, so his minutes are going to look pretty good, and I think he's going to be a contrarian value option. So he's not power forward eligible, but I definitely wanted to get his name out there on the FanDuel side.
Very good. Okay, last but not least, we go to the big men. A lot of these are kind of power forward, center, both. So maybe some familiar names. What are you doing there at center, Kyle?
Yeah, definitely. Sabonis, Porzingis, you can play these guys at power forward and center. Guys like Isaiah Stewart, I would definitely recommend playing in the power forward slot as well. But center, there's a couple of names here that I like outside of the guys who are also power forward eligible. Yeah, Bam Adebayo, who I like quite a bit, especially if you're not playing Jimmy Butler, but like him either way. And then Missy here at 5'6" on FanDuel. We have him projected for about 29 minutes. He played over 30 minutes last game. His minutes have seemed to improve and kind of been more consistent as of late. He's another guy who benefits from the FanDuel scoring with his block upside. He is a rookie, but we saw him have a lot of block capabilities in college, so I'm not really thinking that his block numbers are fluky whatsoever here in the NBA. And then the last name, a guy who I really like in this spot, Jakob Poeltl. I think he'll be pretty contrarian. I don't think that he's going to, be sub 10% or anything like that, but I do think people are going to be focusing on guys like Bam. I think Missy will be a popular value option. I think Poeltl kind of gets overlooked here. He benefits from Scotty Barnes being out, not only in the usage department, but also in the rebounding rates. So I love this spot here for Poeltl with no Scotty Barnes, who we saw absolutely crush a handful of times with Scotty Barnes out. Mm-hmm. So Poeltl's definitely going to be one of my favorite plays, and he's going to be in my single entry lineup.
Okay, great stuff. Christy, what are you doing there at the center spot?
Yeah, I like all the plays that Kyle just mentioned, but I do think Missy is going to be one of the top plays on the slate just because he's so cheap and has been doing really well, getting a ton of minutes. He's a good per minute producer. So I think he's great. I do agree that Stewart's better off played in the power forward position. But yes, Bam Adebayo, I think is a great play, but I really like the Jakob Poeltl call because he's the type of guy that you want to get tonight on a 3-game slate at very low ownership, but can put up some really big numbers. And so I think he's going to come in low owned, and he's one of those difference makers that can really make a big difference on the slate. So I think he's a fantastic tournament play. But yes, like all those guys, I do think Missy's probably the core cash game play if you're playing cash tonight.
Okay, guys, we want to kick it over to DK, but first, make sure you're getting the best value in the biz because it's the busiest time in the sports calendar, which means it's the perfect time to sign up for RotoGrinders Combo. For a limited time, you get your first month of combo access for $79.99, which is just $5 more than NBA Premium. It's absurd. I don't even know how that pricing scale works, but that's the truth of it. So don't pass up this awesome value. Again, Combo Premium, your first month of combo access is $79.99. Let's kick it over to DK. Let's see. Tatum and Hauser are listed as Keith Smith. I have no idea what the hell that. Oh, what in the world? I don't think that's supposed to show that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a glitch in the AI reporting system.
I don't think that's what it's supposed to show. Let's go to DK. Who started on FanDuel?
I believe I did.
Okay, well then Christy gets to start on DK. Let's start at point. What are we doing?
Yeah, so for point guard, a lot of the same names that we're going to like, but I mean, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard are going to be two of the top plays at the guard position. Pritchard, I just love a ton, and he's just 5.4K is a great price. He's going to get a ton of run again. We have him projected for 29 minutes, but he's been so solid, and we've seen him put up some really big games. So I like those two guys a lot. Drew Holiday is probably the guy. Kyle mentioned it when we were talking about FanDuel, is going to go a little bit overlooked, and he's just 5K. So he's very cheap. He's projected for 31 minutes. So I think he's someone you're going to be wanting to get at least one of those guys in your point guard position. Cade Cunningham is a guy I really like. That's a difference maker for sure. We talked about guys like Jakob Poeltl, Cade Cunningham. Again, we have him projected for 10% ownership just on DraftKings. He's priced up to 9.6K, but with guys like Stewart and Mogbo and some of the other value that we'll be talking to, he is very possible to get to. So I like that quite a bit. And then, guys like DeJounte Murray is a great solid play. He's going to get great minutes run. We have him projected for 35. He's 8.3K, so he's somebody I like. And then Malik Monk is another guy I'd throw in there too. His price has come up, but since he's entered the starting lineup, he's just been great. And we've seen his ceiling. He's been able to hit 50 fantasy points here. So the ceiling is definitely there, and someone I want to get exposure to.
Okay. Kyle, what are you doing at point? Are you on board with Cunningham? Because I feel like that ownership at 10% is pretty tasty.
Absolutely.
Prince triple doubles.
Yeah, 100%. Especially in this matchup against Boston. Like I said earlier, if you're playing, 3, maybe even 4 Celtics players, makes sense to bring him back. Obviously, people are going to be playing Isaiah Stewart, but Cade Cunningham definitely benefits there as well. I do think, there's probably players who project better or more optimal plays, but again, on a 3-game slate, a guy with that kind of ceiling, he could easily be the highest scoring player on the slate at 10%. So it's definitely a good number there. De'Aaron Fox is one of those guys that I mentioned, probably projects better, going to be the more optimal play. But, we have him for, over double Cade Cunningham's ownership. DeJounte Murray's finally shown a pulse the last 2 games, 29% usage rate over his last 2 games after looking, like the odd man out in this offense. So like Christy alluded to, he's going to be playing big minutes here. A couple other names that I'll mention that are kind of off the wall if you're looking for tournament options, mainly just one. And you definitely don't need to do it now, especially with Isaiah Stewart and Mogbo and that value kind of opening up. But Drew Smith is a guy who projects okay for us. 23 minutes here, right around 20 DK points. We do actually have him projecting for some ownership. If he's getting ownership, I don't really want much of him there. But that could be a spot where maybe we're just higher on him than the public. So, our system's showing a little bit higher of an ownership number there. But Drew Smith at 3,500 could definitely help you open up some value there. But again, you definitely don't need to go there. Just an option for people who are maybe building, 50 to 100 plus lineups.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that takes us to shooting guard. Kyle, what are you doing there?
Yeah, Jaylen Brown's definitely the guy that sticks out the most. But you have a few guys here who are going to probably project to be pretty popular, especially because there's guys who you can play at, both shooting guard and small forward, or point guard and shooting guard. The 4 names that stick out as popular options: Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. So those 3 Boston guys, no real surprise there. Trey Murphy also projects pretty well, and he benefits from the DraftKings scoring, being a 3-point specialist, and obviously with a 3-point bonus there, it's nice for him. CJ McCollum, Malik Monk are kind of the next tier, the mid-tier options that I like quite a bit. Malik Monk showing at sub 20% projected ownership right now. Again, I really like his ceiling. He's definitely a risky option because you need him to score points. So you need like 25 plus points to really feel like you're getting a ceiling game from Malik Monk. We obviously know he's very capable of that, but he doesn't really do a whole lot else in the stat sheet to provide fantasy points. So you're definitely going to need a scoring ceiling night. Grady Dick, I mentioned on FanDuel, like him quite a bit once again. And then some of these other ancillary value pieces, who again, you don't need to get to because a lot of these forwards / centers that we're going to have value options are better. But Malik Beasley projects for, upper 20 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if this game stays close, if he plays 30 plus minutes. So Beasley's a guy who I like, again, scoring dependent, but definitely projects okay for the minutes there. Duncan Robinson, very similar to Malik Beasley, needing to score, get hot from 3, but a value option if you're looking to be contrarian with your value. But again, there's definitely going to be better value plays that project better down the board.
Okay, great stuff. Christy, your thoughts at small forward?
Yep, I like all those plays. I do think Trey Murphy, like Kyle mentioned, benefits from the DK scoring. So I think he's a fantastic play on both sides tonight. Jaylen Brown, who we mentioned, he's just a core play for me. He's just too cheap for Tatum being out tonight. So I think that's a fantastic play. Herb Jones, again, the minutes are so strong, projected for 36 minutes, and he can get hot. And again, they're shorthanded. So I think he's fantastic. And I like that Malik Beasley call in there too, just because I think really for both sites, we didn't really mention him on FanDuel, but if you're kind of in that mid-tier range, he loves to shoot. And if he can get hot, even though we've got him projected for 27 minutes, he could put up a big game. So I think that's fine for value. And then I know we have the starting lineup too for Miami. And I had mentioned Duncan Robinson. He's just 4.2K. If you happen to land on him and need some value, I certainly don't mind that, just because, again, he's gone for 30 points the last outing. And he can have a pretty decent ceiling. So that's someone I don't mind. But yeah, really like those Boston guys in there. Trey Murphy and Malik Monk, like he mentioned too, just has such a high ceiling. He does need to get hot shooting, but he's somebody you want to take a chance on, especially on a 3-game slate.
Okay. Go to the small forward for me, Christy.
Yeah. So for small forward, again, a lot of the same guys here. Trey Murphy, Jaylen Brown, like we mentioned. Jimmy Butler falls into this range. He's very cheap on both sites, just in that mid-7 range, which is really nice. He's going to get the minutes. He's going to want to win. He's going to get out there and should have a good scoring night too. So I really like him. And again, he was popping in a lot of earlier optimals. So I think he's fine. Talked about RJ Barrett on FanDuel as a very good tournament play. We've got him maybe carrying a little bit more ownership over here on DK, but I think he's a strong tournament play tonight. Again, they're missing a lot of pieces in their lineup, so he checks in well. Again, you can play guys like Malik Beasley here. Herb Jones is probably one of my favorite guys on both sites for value, just in, the low 5K range. And again, getting all those minutes. So I like him. And then I had mentioned Keegan Murray on FanDuel a little bit. Not somebody I'm necessarily targeting, but if I happen to land on him, I don't mind, because he can, he's going to get the minutes, and we've seen him put up some big games, and his price has really come down and adjusted. So I think he's a little bit of a bargain now that he's down in that 5.7 range.
Sure. Okay. That brings us, I believe, to Kyle's thoughts at shooting at small forward.
Yeah, a lot of the names do carry over in terms of the guys who project really well. Murphy, Butler, Jaylen Brown, the same names that we've kind of listed off so far. In terms of like contrarian options, they're, again, similar to the shooting guard position. There's some guys that you don't really have to play, but again, if you're looking to play a bunch of lineups, or you're just looking to be really contrarian and you want to get different with your value, because there is going to be some value pieces tonight that are going to be quite popular. So it makes sense to maybe, if you're looking to be high leverage lineups, to fade some of that value and target guys like Brandon Boston. I like a little bit here. We have him projected for 26 minutes, decent per minute guy. Kevin Huerter, 4,900. Highsmith, and then Tim Hardaway Jr. Again, same sort of concept as the Malik Beasley play with Hardaway there. You need him to get hot in terms of the scoring, but again, projecting him for 28 minutes at 3,700. So he at least, it's worth consideration at the price if you're looking to get different. And then Herb Jones is obviously the guy that stands out the most from the value plays here at 5K. Again, I do like him more on FanDuel, but still in play on DraftKings at 3,600. And then Agbaji here as well. Similar to the Grady Dick play, I do think, I like Dick more just from the scoring perspective, but Agbaji is definitely a guy who's going to be playing, mid-30s minutes. So he's at least in play here at 5-4.
Okay. I did have a couple people in the chat saying, hey, are the Rams going to win? Let's talk about the game tonight. We do have NFL content coming up literally 15 minutes from now. We have 2 more experts joining us. They're going to walk you through a little Thursday night football. So hang out. We'll finish up DK. We'll answer some basketball questions, and then we will smoothly pivot into some football content. Kyle, what are we doing at power forward on DK, my man?
Yeah, in terms of the guys who project as like the optimal plays, Jimmy Butler, Herb Jones are the 2 that really stick out the most. I do like Tobias Harris quite a bit, especially over on DraftKings. He's cheaper than he is over on FanDuel, and also just benefits from the scoring there. 3-point bonus, 5'9". Definitely worth considering there. Magbo here at 3.9 as well. He's going to be probably a top play in terms of our projection and in terms of the overall ownership. So the public's going to be on him, but I think it's worth it here at 3.9. Again, if you were looking to get a lot of leverage, the quickest way to do it is probably by fading a guy like Magbo or even Isaiah Stewart, although they do project really well. So just understand the risk there if you're doing that. And then other guys that stick out to me, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray. And then again, I don't know if we've mentioned a ton of here, but I do think he makes some sense in terms of being contrarian. Always very shaky this year with him getting up there in age, but Al Horford, 4,900. We have him for 31 minutes here. Not a high usage guy at this point in his career, but he can knock down some threes, grab some rebounds. So I don't mind mentioning him here at sub 5K.
Very good. Christy, your thoughts at power forward?
Yeah, I like a lot of those guys too. Again, Butler, Jones, but I do like, would point out Magbo at just 3.9K, a really good value over there. And someone that if you're looking to pay up for guys like Cade Cunningham, Jakob Poeltl, some of the guys that we mentioned, he's someone that can get you there. So certainly like him. As far as anything different, that's probably the one that stands out the most. I do like the Tobias Harris call at 5.9K. Again, just wanting exposure to that game. I think he's a good way to get it. He's under 6K and we have him projected for 31 minutes. So I like that Tobias Harris call.
Okay. That brings us to the center spot. Chrissy, you get to lead us off with the big men. What are you doing?
Yeah, so for center, Isaiah Stewart is going to look really great here. Of course, he's just 3.6K, so he's going to be one of the top plays for sure at the center position tonight. Porzingis, 7.3K. Those are going to be two of the top plays, and they're very reasonably priced, both projected for 31 minutes. Both are two highest owned plays. So I like getting to two centers here on DraftKings tonight. And then you've got guys like Missy, probably like him a little bit better on FanDuel. Bam Adebayo, of course, is great. He looks a little bit better on FanDuel. And then like Kyle had mentioned, Jakob Poeltl, coming in 17% ownership, projected ownership on DK, 33 minutes, has a very high ceiling. He's priced very similarly to Porzingis. So I think most people are going to click on Porzingis and Stewart tonight. So Jakob gets you a little bit different than the field.
Okay, good stuff. Kyle, center spot.
Yeah, love the protocol, as I mentioned over on FanDuel, and as Christy alluded to, he's definitely one of my favorite just ways to get different on the entire slate. But on DraftKings specifically, it's not necessarily as much of the case on FanDuel, but on DraftKings specifically, Adebayo is also projecting for some lower ownership, as is Sabonis. So I think any really of those three guys, if you're able to get them in, obviously it's difficult because you have Stewart at center only, Porzingis center only, Missy center only. So it is difficult to get a lot of these guys, hence the lower ownership projection. But I do think it makes sense to maybe sacrifice one of those guys in order to get some leverage on one of those three top options. I think they're all excellent with Sabonis, Adebayo, and Poeltl there. I think on DraftKings, I still prefer Poeltl, but I think Adebayo is a close second there in that group, especially if you're not playing Jimmy Butler. And I think in terms of other guys that we've touched on, a lot of them were at the power forward position as well, or we talked about a lot on FanDuel. Missy, center only, 5K on DraftKings. He's going to project to be one of the optimal plays on the slate as well. Again, for DraftKings, it just comes down to opportunity cost, kind of who you want to leverage the most here. Isaiah Stewart's probably the guy that I like the most just because he allows you to do a lot. So that would mean, not able to play Missy and Porzingis if I'm trying to get different with one of those other three. But I do think that's something that I'm definitely going to consider tonight.
What's your ownership going to be, both of you, on Isaiah Stewart? I don't know, Kyle, if you're even entering because, you're on the projection team, you're doing a lot. But if you are playing tonight, what would your ownership be? And Christy, same question to you.
Yeah, for me, I'm only playing a couple lineups, but I'm going to have him in every lineup tonight.
Same. Yep. He's the guy that you lock in. Yep. And I'm just playing just a few lineups too, but he's in every one.
Yeah. Okay. Curious about that. Drop your QQs in the chat, guys. We've got about 10 minutes until lock, about 10 minutes until we bring in our football experts. I would say I use that term loosely, but no, legit. We got Chop, we got Davis. They are a couple legit football experts coming in just a few minutes. So let's see what we've got here with the old QQs. I'm scrolling up just a little. We have some good-looking men here tonight. Thank you. Usually when Christy's on the show, she gets all the comments. This is a rare reversal of our fates.
Good. That's good.
Let's see. Here we go. FanDuel, GPP, Christy, shooting guard, Herter, Robinson, Boston, or Agbaji. Herter, Robinson, Boston, or Agbaji?
I think I'd go Robinson. He's someone that's going to get the good minutes, and like him.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Is Jalen Johnson playing? I'll give this one to you, Kyle.
Jalen Johnson
Johnson.
that must be a different question because Jalen Johnson played last night for the Hawks. He's playing on Monday night for the Bears as well, the corner.
He is playing, but not tonight. He is
correct.
Yeah, he is.
I'm sure he's playing somewhere.
Possible. Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. How about this question, which is this is an interesting one from Fluff. If either of you want to jump in, feel free. But in the meantime, Kyle, I'll give it to you. Any idea as to why my boy J. Rue shot the ball 26 times last game with everyone healthy? I didn't know he had that in him. I didn't notice that. Are we expecting a rerun of that, Kyle?
I would guess most likely not. He's been a guy who's been like a 15 to 16% usage rate guy on the year, and obviously that resulted in a 34% usage rate last game against Memphis, especially in only 30 minutes, and especially with everyone fully healthy. Definitely not expecting that again. But it could be a spot where maybe that just rolls over. He took 17 threes, so that's a big number. Yeah, he only made 4 of them, so hopefully he doesn't do that again. But
yeah, he's not going to do that again. I can tell you. After going 4 for 17, I don't think he's getting back there. Let's see. Christy, got a question for you from Falcor. It's a FanDuel question. It's 2v2. Murray and Jones or McCollum and Murphy?
I think I would go, I'm assuming it's DeJounte Murray. Yeah, I would go Murray and Jones.
Okay. And then right back to you, Christy. This is a FanDuel cash question from Aside. Okay, it's McCollum and Brandon Boston or DeJounte and Drew Smith.
I think I'd go DeJounte and Drew Smith. I don't mind him. He's cheap value, and yeah, I think I'd go that route.
Okay. The question has been updated. The person who was like, is so-and-so playing? What they were looking for was, is Jaylen Brown playing? And I think the answer is yes, Jaylen Brown is playing.
Yep, so he's good to go.
There you have it. Like normally if one star is out, like Tatum's out, I would just pivot to the other guy. But on Boston, there's like 4 potential other guys.
Yeah, I do think it's a good question to wonder like how many Boston players you want to play. For me, it comes down to a combination. Like I probably am looking to play, at least one of White, Brown, and Porzingis, at least one of them. And then I do think you can add Pritchard as well as a more value option, but I definitely think you want one of those 3. I think my favorite right now is actually Derek White, but obviously Jaylen Brown and Porzingis are both excellent as well.
Christy, are you getting 2 of those 3 kind of bigger spends on Boston, or are you just sticking to 1?
I'm getting 2. I like getting to 2. Yep. And I really like Jaylen Brown in there too. Porzingis. Yep, I am.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. Scrolling down a little bit. Scrolling down. Okay, here we go. Christy, I'm playing one lineup in the Detroit-Boston Showdown. That's a fun one. Who should I play in the captain spot on DK?
Captain spot. Captain spot. I haven't looked at the Showdown on that, but captain spot, I'm probably looking to get a guy. Did you say the Detroit-Boston game?
Yeah, Detroit-Boston.
Yeah. I'm probably looking to get one of the, higher usage guys like a Jaylen Brown or someone like that. So that's probably who I'd target.
Okay. Very good. See if we got a few more coming in. Scrolling down. Here we go. Oh, we got Chop doing a mic check in the house. About 5 minutes out from some more football content. By the way, if you have not signed up for Splash Sports, now is a great time to do that. You can use the promo code ROTO10. And when you play $100 in quick picks, you'll get another $50 from Splash Sports and RotoGrinders. So make sure you're signing up for Splash Sports. Use the promo code ROTO10. It's all in caps. There's no spaces. I don't know if you need to put it all in caps or not. I'm not sure, but I would do it just to be careful. Let's see if we got any more QQs. No, we're just waiting. It's silent as we're waiting for Chop to come on in. Have you guys looked at this Thursday Night Football slate, and are you playing that as well? Christy, are you trying to win NBA and NFL tonight?
Yeah, I got to do a little bit of both. Yeah, absolutely. I love the single game slates too.
Okay, well, what is your immediate take here? Do you have some hot take that's going to win you all the money in the NFL streets, or are you just sticking with the RG pros?
Well, yeah, one of the guys I really like, I mean, no surprise, but Puka, just with the usage and everything like that, he's just such a strong play. I really like him at the captain spot on both sides tonight.
Okay, very good. Kyle, you got any hot takes here?
Hot takes. I think my hottest take would be that I think the Niners win this game pretty easily. I don't want to go crazy and say double digits or anything, but I think they found their groove a little bit last week. Obviously, still no CMC, but the Rams defense is banged up, and they've been struggling just even when they're healthy. So I think the Niners win this one, and I guess one of my favorite plays would probably be George Kittle tonight, but it should be a good game nonetheless.
Okay, very nice. Let's see. Roth hit us with some marine biology facts. All right. Did you know that killer whales are not actually whales? They're dolphins. They're not a whale at all.
Interesting.
Killer
Like
whales.
orca?
Yeah, orcas. Not killer whale, not a whale. They're a dolphin.
Wow.
Bam, blew your mind with that one right off the dome. Let's see if we have any legitimate questions here. No. Oh, how much Mogbo? There we go. How much Mogbo is too much Mogbo? Christy, how much Mogbo is too much Mogbo?
I think he's a much better play over on DraftKings just because he's 3.9K. He's priced up a little bit more. And then, so I do like him quite a bit on DraftKings.
Okay, very good. Kyle, how much Mogbo is too much Mogbo for you?
Yeah, I think you can actually make a case that he might even be a little bit better of a play than Stewart on DraftKings just because he's power forward eligible as well. So I think that's a good case to be made, but he definitely has more risk than Stewart. But I definitely wouldn't be hitting the lock button on Mogbo the way I think you probably can with Stewart, especially on FanDuel, because Stewart, you can play him at power forward on FanDuel.
Gotcha. By the way, these late shows tend to end in this in this manner. If we don't start on time, then you're getting some babies on screen. Guys, if you have questions, get them in. We've got about 2 minutes. And Steve, if you could let me know when our crew is ready, we can start the pivot. Oh, we got a thermometer here. Yeah, that's cool. Just waiting on a few other people. Let's see. Highsmith or Jaime Jaquez on DK? Kyle, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I think Jaquez definitely has the higher ceiling, but Highsmith is going to be the guy that's projecting to play more minutes. So it just kind of depends on what you're building for, but I would prefer Jaquez.
Okay, very good. Scrolling through, I think we're doing pretty good. All right, I think we may be ready for a little pivot. Yeah. Do you want to say, Ellie? You want to say, bring in the guys?
Bring the guys.
There. What's up, boys? We got a couple of the sharpest NFL minds in the biz joining us now. We got Chop in the house. What up, Chop?
It's debatable, Roth. It's debatable. Listen, look at this. Look at this crowd right here. This is not the normal crowd right here. Look at Kyle Murray. The budget cuts must have got us. He's got to do some NBA content, man.
No comment.
It's a little too close to home, man. It's good to have you on, Chop. And then we've got Davis as well. Davis, I thought that we were coworkers for the last 10 years. Apparently that's not true. But you're here. We're coworkers now.
We're coworkers now. I'm honorary coworkers with everyone. That's kind of the role that I like to fulfill. So very, very glad to be here. Very exciting showdown slate, honestly.
Okay, well, I'm stoked for you to break it down. I know that you are deep in the best ball streets as well. Would you say that's kind of your thing?
Yeah. I mean, the best ball stuff is it's the most fun. Drafting, because we all know drafting is the most fun part of fantasy. Everything else that comes after that, not nearly as fun. So, and it's kind of an unrivaled sweat too.
It's like when you buy the lottery ticket and you still have all these dreams of winning. And then as the season goes on, you realize, no, you're screwed. And it really goes downhill. But this was not a good year for what are like normal best ball strategies, right? I feel like all of the sharp players are kind of getting hammered.
No running backs got injured. No running back inside of the top 33 in positional ADP suffered a season-ending injury. Zach Moss, the only top 100 pick to suffer a season-ending injury. And then 7 wide receivers in the first 50 picks suffered season-ending injuries. So, yeah,
so actually, RB builds that everybody going 0 RB. It didn't go well.
No, it didn't, because you do need some running back injuries. Some. So, and you need your wide receivers to stay healthy. I also saw that Justin Jefferson's total right now would be his points per game would be the lowest. The second highest scoring wide receiver in fantasy has finished in 15 years in terms of just raw points. So basically scoring's down. So running backs are kind of king right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you're going to convince me to get into some best ball next year, but the people are not here for best ball knowledge. They are here for some showdown slate, some Thursday night football. And you two are the men for the job. So for Christy and for Kyle and for Steve, we appreciate it. Ellie and I are going to get out of here. Chop, Davis, take it away, guys.
Beautiful.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys. What up, everybody? Welcome to the NFL Showdown pre-lock show. Love it. Thursday night football kicks us off for the weekend. We are ready to rock and roll. Today is Davis Mattek Day, man. Davis is going to join us and rock out with the show. And Davis, I don't want to sit on my, high horse. I'm in the catbird seat. Running backs didn't get injured, so Daddy done went through with about.
I was going to say you're probably advancing 4 times as many teams as me, brother. You're probably.
Daddy got about half his teams through on DraftKings. Underdog.
Wow.
Underdog not quite as good, but still good enough. I'm sitting there looking at some really nice Saquon, Derek stacks.
I was going to
into
say
the next round.
You got it. You got to have all the Derrick Henry they had to offer for you, brother.
Oh God, that was the easiest pick. That was the easiest click of the year right there, man. Derrick Henry on the Ravens, a run first team. Come on, man.
That's what they're saying, man. That's what they're saying.
No, it's been a fun year. I'm into it, man. I mean, next year I'll do some more. I didn't really get into it as much this year. Lots of stuff going on, but next year even more. Probably gonna do a little more best ball, maybe a little less DFS. Allocate some of those funds over there. It's a pretty good.
It's a great sweat.
Yeah, it's a pretty good sweat, man. The whole DFS thing. It's a tough, man. It's a grind. Yeah, Hammer, I'm woofing, man. I'm in the catbird seat. I'm ready to rock and roll. But it's a tough look for Davis this year, but he'll bounce back. I'm sure of it, man. What do we got? Let me think here. Let me think here. What does Davis got going on right now? Basketball, Kansas State? No, that's not it. Didn't make the playoffs with K-State.
Oklahoma did beat Alabama.
You know what? Aren't you an Oklahoma City guy?
Yeah.
Thunder?
They trade away a guy who was getting DNP seeded in the playoffs for a first team all defense guy. So we're doing all right.
Who's that?
Caruso, man. He's unbelievable.
Oh, you're talking about that trade. There's a lot of trades you could have been talking about.
They got Hartenstein for free. They didn't even have to trade for him. They got him as a free agent.
You got a good team out there. If that's your real following, that's a good team. But I have to say, Davis, look at here. This on Saturday night, Oklahoma City, Houston.
They're very, very good. They're
Oklahoma
very,
City,
very good, man.
It's going to be a good matchup. But you got that going for you at least. And I know you're big Chiefs guys, so they'll probably end up winning the Super Bowl by a field goal again. You know?
Oh man, I gotta say, brother, I don't know about these boys. They are
every year. Everybody says that every year, and then playoff Mahomes, it's a real thing. Playoff Kelsey is a real thing. So they'll be fine. They'll be all right. But it is. But if we are on that subject, though, I have to be honest with you. About a month ago, I would have said, "Here's my mortgage slip. Put it on the Lions. They're going to win the NFC."
Oh yeah.
Now they got hit with all the injuries. I don't know. That's what happens sometimes. So I think it is anybody's year right now, man. It really could be. I would hate for it to be Philly's year because I'm not a big Philly guy. I'm an anti-Philly guy, but
right.
It could be anybody. But we're not there. People don't want to hear about that, Dave. We got about 50. We're going to go stick it with you guys for about 15 or so minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Whatever questions you got about the showdown slate tonight, San Fran against the Rams, get them in. We're going to do that. We're going to talk about some SimLabs in a minute. God darn it. Do we got a screen share, Steve? I got my screen share pulled up for you. You need my screen share? And then, we're going to talk about some splash sports too. So get that player picks ready, player props ready for splash sports and everything else. But I want to talk to Davis real quick. San Fran Rams. People are saying it is a de facto playoff game, basically. Now,
yeah, it is.
Although the Niners are in really bad shape regardless. Like, we don't know that. But talk me through it. Do you expect anything to be different with the game meaning so much for both teams tonight?
Honestly, yeah. Yeah, I do. I think that the 49ers will tilt way more pass heavy, especially because Guerrero is coming in banged up. No, I think they will like I will be playing Guerrero over what the field has him, because I think like basically you're getting gifted a Shanahan running back at what is $8,400, $8,600. I can't remember if he's 84 or 86. And just like, man, that feels like an absolute gift. So I'm jamming him over the field, but I think the field is going to be, I mean, Chop, Debo is you're going to feel sharp as hell if you get over the field on him and you're like, oh my God, all these idiots, they didn't play Debo. Debo Samuel, 7,400. This guy's been amazing forever. No one played him. And then you're going to feel dumb as hell if you get over the field on Debo and he does what he did last week, 9 touches for 19 yards and he sucks.
I mean, yeah. So back to your Guerrero take, your Guerrero stance.
Yes.
Are you, I mean, what's your scale, your level of worry with a foot sprain on a guy who needs his speed to be as effective as he can be? What's your level of worry on that foot sprain he's got?
I mean, my level of worry is that basically I think that if he truly wasn't healthy, like if the doctors didn't clear him, then he wouldn't have played. And we're talking about a rookie, undrafted free agent who's got to, I mean, basically he's playing for a spot on the roster next year, right?
That's what gets me worried, Davis. Is that he's kind of pushing himself too far here?
No, he definitely is pushing himself to play, but also, I mean, in generally speaking, in showdown spots like this, I try and attack the uncertainty as much as possible, and I feel like this is going to lead a Shanahan running back to be half as owned as he should be, 10%, 15% less owned than he should be. Like, I'm looking at all of our projections around the industry and stuff, and they're all, to me, like 2 or 3 points too low. So, and if he's hurt, he's hurt, but I think you really got to have one of him or Patrick Taylor Jr. or Debo kind of as your guy, because one of these dudes is going to get there on the ground.
Yeah, we got Mardon in chat. He says squeaky wheel narrative. I don't know. I'm trying to think of Shanahan and the squeaky wheel. Is he a squeaky wheel guy? Do you remember if Shanahan's a squeaky wheel guy?
No, he's not really.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But Brock is. Did you see what Brock said?
No, please tell me. I need this. I need it.
Okay, so, that tweet goes around and Brock said, oh, Debo's my best friend on the team. I haven't been getting him the ball the way I need to. I will do a better job getting him the ball soon.
Well, okay.
There you go.
Squeaky wheel in full effect.
Wheel.
I like it. Let's talk a little bit about Debo's position, the Niners wide receivers. I saw in the survey you got a lot of love for Jennings. So where would you rank those pass catchers for the Niners tonight?
He's Randy Moss, bro. Juwan Jennings, he just scores touchdown all the time. Guy's unbelievable. 2 touchdowns last week. He is top 10 in the NFL in targets per route run. So basically you got to earn a target. You're not given a target. Like Ricky Pearsall didn't have a catch in 3 games. I think if you're purely a leverage bro, you want to be on Pearsall, but I think I'm just totally eating the chalk here. Like I might even, if I was going to lock someone, it would definitely be Jennings.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I got a little love for George Kittle. I got George Kittle on my season long tonight. Need a big game out of him. I like the way. I think the whole Niners thing is they're built on their offense. I know Shanahan's good. Good play caller. He's got the running game thing down. But this version of the Niners is built on being so superior with their skill players. And some of those skill players aren't there. It's a step back. There's no C-Mac is probably cooked for the year. what you call it? Who's the other guy out there out wide? Brandon Ayuk is cooked for the year.
He's gone.
Like when that happens, these other guys like Kittle just step up, man, and get so much volume. So I'm a Kittle guy tonight. Speaking of which, that particular season long right there, I got Garendo and I got him on the bench. I don't know, man. I just for some reason I'm not feeling it. But
who are you starting over Garendo?
So definitely Achan is one. The second one right now is just a space filler. I'm still filling it out right now. Stevenson, Ramondre is my filler.
I would just start Garendo.
But I might have better options when we get closer to kickoff. I'm looking at the waiver wire, and I'm seeing a guy who might clear waivers for me by then. So maybe we'll see. All right, I don't know. Somebody stop that spam. Steve, come on, get on that spam in the chat. I can't be looking at questions and looking at this guy in his high def stream.
Classic.
Crazy. Let's go to SimLabs. Pull up my SimLabs for me, Stevie. Let's rock and roll here. All right. We got this. We're looking at the optimal versus projected stuff. It's giving us, it's telling us Stafford's a good play at captain tonight. Kupp's a good play at captain tonight. Kittle's not a good play. Okay. Don't like that, but whatever. All right. Let's look at some settings for us. We got some settings here for Niners and Rams. Do you have anything special you're feeling for your settings tonight?
Yeah, I would do I would actually up the correlation weight a bit.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that you are gonna actually want to have Stafford and Purdy paired with these guys tonight, because a lot of what you'll get if you turn the correlation weight down, you're gonna get a lot of no quarterback lineups. And I think you're gonna want one of them for a lot of those. Yeah.
Upside, fine. Ownership, and it is what it is right there. Projection weight is fair. Sim weight's fine. Let's go to the normal. We're going large field. Let's go with about 60 or so. We got a nice little thing. Let's see what happens.
I do love to mess with SimLabs like that. You just always learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Let's run these puppies and see what they've given us. All right. Won't take them no time at all to whip out 150, man. Just like that.
Isn't that crazy? Remember when you have to do this in Excel, brother?
I can go back in the day, man. I can go back in the day when they just first started. Like at first, they didn't even have a 150 cap. They had to do that at a certain point because some guys. No, not even him. Man, there was a poker player that really triggered that.
Beep, I'm a Jeep. Jay Rayner.
Nope. God, it was another one. I forget what his name. I forget the username. I forget his name. But the first couple of millionaires hit, and he was in there for 1,000 lineups. And they were like, okay, part of the rules, maybe we got to put a cap on that. But so they got to 150, and we started maxing her on 150. There was no lineup builders. You could do your spreadsheet, but we'd sit there, and I'd have to sit there and build by hand, man. Like 150. Yeah. That was rough. It was brutal. Now I can, if I was in the slant, sign up for 150 max in the slant, boom, right there. I just whipped up $1,350 worth of lineups right there in about 3 seconds, man. So anyway, let's see what we got here. I'm going to go to the exposure tab. Who's our favorite captain? It's giving us it's spreading it out.
I knew Debo would be top.
Yeah, Debo, and I knew Puka was going to be up there. Those guys are 1A, 1B.
The computers always love the guy like Debo, the guy who's still projected really good, that no one wants to play him. Everyone's afraid of him because he's been ass.
Yeah, but I think we're going to see that flip a little on the ownership tonight. He'll get it pretty good now. Now we're looking at your boy Jawan Jennings, third on the list here for captain ownership. Not that far behind. My guy Brock Purdy. I like me some Brock Purdy tonight. So here's where I understand the concept, Davis, of you pick a receiver because a receiver has a better chance of, having this monster game than a quarterback. But I don't understand why so many people are deferring on Brock Purdy tonight when his salary is lower than some of his receivers, some of the other receivers on the other side. He's got some running ability, a little bit, enough. He can steal a touchdown on the goal line. He can spread the ball around. It's not like he has a definitive 1A, boom, there's Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, and that's what I'd rather go with that guy. He can spread it around. I like Brock Purdy in the captain tonight. What's your thoughts on why not Brock Purdy? Tell me your reasoning for Jennings and some of these others instead of Purdy when his salary isn't that bad at all.
No, it's more that I like taking some shots on these cheaper guys. Like, look, we didn't get any Guerrero. We got very little Stafford. Your boy Kittle. Like, I think that Debo, Puka, Jennings, and Kyron. That Kyron's not even showing up on our list, brother. Okay, we got to scroll for Kyron Williams and the captain. Like, no, like Kyron Williams is not getting played tonight, which is like, I mean, that's kind of DFS 101 right there.
He
bro.
gave us no Kyron in captain.
Yeah, that is like, and the field will have some of him obviously, but he will be. I don't know if I had to guess. I bet Kyron will be 6% in the captain.
I mean, even in the flex, the Sims only gave us 17% total. So okay, that's a little odd. It gave us almost as much Blake Corum, and I don't know. Okay, the Sims, they might have to tweak that a little bit. They might have to tweak the Sim formula. I don't like that one, but
come on, Jamino, come on.
And I'm also not a huge fan. I might have gone in there and tinkered with it and gotten rid of some of that Juszczyk. Maybe he does something tonight, but typically that's not a guy I want to load up on. But I'm sure, that the salary gets us to some other places. Look at there. I liked Tutu Atwell a lot more before Demarcus Robinson was active. So I don't know how you feel about Tutu tonight.
I think I like him more because the deal with Atwell is it just takes one for him. He would have been stone chalk at 2,400 before. He's, I bet, 19%. Nah. He'll be 15.6% in the big flagship contest on DraftKings.
Okay, if you say so. I don't mind that take, but I don't mind some Tutu tonight. I really don't. Let's see. Cooper Kupp, I was higher on earlier in the day. I kind of drifted off of that take a little bit. You got Nakua, you got Kupp. It seems like it's Puka's show now, but Cooper still has something left. How do you feel about those two? Where are you ranking those two tonight?
I'm definitely going Puka, and I don't even really care about the ownership. I think Puka's just like so much better.
You think he's that much better? I think he's just got some younger legs. Cooper's he's about at the end of his NFL lifespan. Like they don't last that long, when you're not super athletic and you've had some injuries. It doesn't take much for you to drift down that totem pole. So he's giving it all he's got. He's still got a little bit of juice left, but not much. Puka's just younger and just better right now. You're right. And I still can't believe he fell as far as he did in the draft. If you watched the guy in college, you could see he had that spark every time he touched the ball, man. He had that spark, and they let him get to the Rams. But I don't know. Is there anything else in the SimLabs build we just took apart that, you would tweak or pick apart, or you want more of or less of, or how do you feel?
I think it's a little light on Debo in the flat. It's definitely light on I think Colby Parkinson too, 10.6. I guess maybe not light on him in particular, but in slates like this where it's teams that play that really tight personnel grouping in 11 where they don't rotate very much. I think the Kyle Juszczyks, the Corums, the Demarcus Robinsons, the Parkinsons, they all get a little bit under-owned.
Okay, fair enough. Let's think about questions now from the chat and see what we got. First off, Michael, Jawan Jennings or Devontae Adams in season long? Got a season long for you.
Jennings, right?
Oh, man. I'm kind of looking at Aaron Rodgers this week as a possible play in DFS. So I don't know, man. But you're high on Jennings. Has been good, dude. Like, he just needed a little bit of a chance. So maybe he is really that good. Dean said the sportsbook have Guerrero at 60.5 over under. So that's pretty much, they're saying he's a full go. I get it. He's probably is a full go. It's just my head saying, I kind of want to be conservative with him in some spots. It's like season long where I really need it. I'm going to be a little conservative with him. Let's see. I see some more questions down there. Okay, we need to do our FanDuel stuff. FanDuel favorite MVP for large field, and then a low-owned flex.
Guerendo and Demarcus Robinson on FanDuel. He's better. I hate Demarcus Robinson, but he's a way better play on FanDuel because it's touchdown or bust.
Better play than Tutu on FanDuel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
All right. Michael says FanDuel Puka MVP for Puka on FanDuel. How you like that play?
Yeah, I mean, he just will probably be the most owned MVP, but doesn't plenty.
You think
plenty
so?
times that wins. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Andrew says, what kind of popcorn you like? I like extra butter and kettle corn. Okay, I do love me some kettle corn. Absolutely 100%. When the kettle corn truck is set up outside my grocery store, I always get a bag for sure. Popcorn, I got a movie lined up for tomorrow night. I got my popcorn. I don't do the bag. When I got the good movie lined up, I don't do the bag popcorn. I make it fresh, throw a bunch of butter in there, some salt. Yeah, for sure, man. Which Rams tight end goes for 320 and a touchdown? What's your favorite Rams tight end there?
Colby. He's running marginally more routes, and Davis Allen was banged up in practice.
Yes, Jimmy, our plums call is coming up in just a minute. Is Tutu the best cheapie for that price? And I mean, that price range, there's not a lot in that price range. It's even remotely like secure. So I think Tutu 3K or below seems like the best play in that range. What do you think?
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think it's just hard to say because all the cheap guys on both these teams don't play and don't really get the ball. They just play the five same dudes all the time.
Yeah. So let's think about this now. Steve, give me the screen share, please. We got to do our quick picks on Splash Sports. Okay, I got to put my hard-earned American dollars on the line here, Davis. We're going to do a little player parlay for tonight.
Okay.
Give me a prop for tonight that you really are digging.
Juwan Jennings touchdown. Do they have rushing receiving touchdowns?
They do. Let me see if I can find it.
I assume yes.
Maybe not.
No,
they
do the yards.
Receiving yards.
Yeah, he's the deep threat. Easy peasy.
Okay, Jenny, you got another one you feeling good about?
Yeah. I know you're gonna hate it, but I think Kittle lower receptions. His receptions total is very, very high. 4.5 seems high.
4.5. Okay, I'll go less for you. I ain't scared. If he gets there, it's a hedge. I'm a winner.
It's a hedge. There you go. It's a hedge.
All right, I got to pick one out. I don't even know what I like tonight on this thing. I do know what I like, but let me see what they got. Passing touchdowns. Oh man, what do we got here? We got, you know what? 2 good wide receivers. I'll go Matthew Stafford to get those passing.
I was going to say that we're getting a better price here than we would at the sportsbook.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we got 2 receivers. If I don't want to have to choose between the 2, I could just take Stafford to hit either one of them a couple times. He ought to be able to do that. So we'll rock with that right there, and we'll submit that. And now we can lower the screen share, Steve. It's time. The plums. Fill in the plums play tonight. We got about 20 minutes left till kickoff. So we're going to get you the plums. Davis, knock it out the park. Let's go.
Isaac Guerendo, foot feels fine. 17 rushes, 102 yards, 2 catches for 22 yards, and a rushing touchdown from the 1-yard line. Isaac Guerendo is the optimal captain tonight.
Oh man, that's good. That's a good call, but we'll see how it plays out. I'm kind of still in the weeds here, man. I don't even know what I want for my plums play of the night. Like, there's so many options, and you're kind of snuffing out some of them. You're telling me they're no good. I'm putting in props against Kittle. I'm all over the board.
No,
here,
man. But hey, man, a prop is different than showdown, brother. We're doing two different things there.
All right. You know what? I got to go back to good old reliable, a guy that's done me real good in the course of his career. I just said he still has a little juice in the legs. I think the Niners know not to let Puka beat him tonight. I think Cooper gets a lot of underneath stuff, and he breaks one. It just takes one for him to break it. I think he racks up a bunch of receptions, some decent yards, and finds the end zone. I'm going Cooper Kupp, filling in the Plums play of the night. So that's where we're at, guys. And I think that's going to wrap it up. You got less than 20 minutes to get your lineups in. We appreciate you tuning in. This is going to kick it off for a good weekend of sports coming up. We got the Army-Navy game on Saturday. That's always a good one. And they're both pretty good this year. Got some NFL on Sunday. We got some NBA Emirates Cup on Saturday night. Can watch that with a little popcorn if you want to. It's going to be a fun weekend, guys. Davis, we appreciate you coming on. As always, for Steve behind the scenes. Guys, good luck in those GPPs. For Davis, for myself, I was Chop. We're out of here.